not been given the way you've been given. So if you say that it will work, and I say it will not, I'm reading from my own script, and you're reading from your own script, definitely we're going.
These are two different scripts.
But when it works, they'll be like, oh, I knew you had something here. Do you have something for me?
Yeah.
Those people who are going to tell you no and backstab you and do everything are the same people going to say, my son is here.
Yeah.
Would you please? And let me tell you, don't, if you have the opportunity, don't say no. Because when you start doing what you're doing, you're not even sure it is going to work. But you have the belief in you.
Yeah.
Now, make that person to also believe in themselves so that they can leave that community. But if you don't, imagine you go away with that talent and that and the information that you have, that person will not
benefit to it.
Yeah.
Interesting. As you're speaking there is something that I stumbled upon on the internet, because the internet these days is how we get information and new ideas. And this person was speaking to close to something that you're saying, that if your family members do not support you in your endeavors, and if your friends, your brothers do not support you in your endeavors, not because that they do not want to support you, but because they do not understand what you are getting at, and they are not comfortable with the person that you will become if you attain what you are going to attain in the long run. And he goes further and says, if at all they had a blueprint of how it would have ended, then probably they would support you from day one. But because they are reading from a different scriptures, as you've said it, then they can't see it for you. They can't see it for you. So if they can't see it for you, then how can they see it for them? So that they can even support you. They cannot fathom it. Like they can't touch it. It's not tangible. Yeah. Interesting. I don't know why we started off.
You're poking me. Let me just say something here. I can equate that to the story of Moses. I mean the story of Joseph.
Yes.
If they knew who you would become, you can imagine your own brother.
Yeah.
Doing that to you. How about the other person?
Absolutely.
And sometimes God hides these things from other people so that it can grow and mature.
Yeah.
And then to a point where you can't cut the tree with a knife.
Initially, you could break it.
Yes.
Within between two fists.
And at that point where you could break it, you had to nurture it to protect it from other predators. Okay? It's like our vision. Once you know who you are, you start protecting yourself with even what you eat, what you read, the places you visit,
and the people you hang around.
Oh yeah, because at that point, if you let in other dictates, it will destroy the vision before it matures.
Yeah.
So I like working in the dark. Working in the dark means that you're growing in the dark without people knowing.
Yeah.
I call it isolative, incubative situation, where you're growing in the dark, but you don't know. See, for you to produce the film long time ago, you have to be in the dark. Darkness means you have to spend more hours here. Darkness means you have to read more than anybody else. Do you know that everything that we need is in the books, and the people don't read? How do you explain that? And then when you go into the books and bring it out, you'll be like, where did you get this? But it was all the time in the books there.
Yeah.
You guys never took the time to read. It's the 80-20 principle. You have to go inside your gut and say, like you said, it's going to work.
Yeah.
With or without the money.
It's going to work.
And then the support will find you along the way. I tell you the truth. The support that you need right now is on the way. But it can't come to you
immediately.
You're lighting me up. You're lighting me up.
I believe this is the version of Saguru.
And I like this conversation because we kind of connect. This first time we met, I mean, it was like, oh, you watch this?
Yeah.
You've watched it before? And I'm like, yeah, I've watched it. And do you like this? So I realized that there's some connection between.
Yeah.
That's why I came to this podcast, because I know, unless you want it to be like that, it will be like, so structured. I can't.
That's why I did not send questions. And many guests have declined to come to this platform because I did not send questions.
I think this is the natural part of it, because it just comes out.
Yeah.
You did not plan for it, and whatever will come out,
it's
who we are.
Yeah, it's the authentic we.
Yes.
Absolutely. All right, let me welcome you to this conversation, and I will not say much. Only thing I'm going to say is my name, but I think I've said it long enough. But my name is Alan Hubbard, and this is Dreams in Motion, where we believe that you are not supposed to stay stagnant. Yeah, you are constantly in motion to either realize what you want to achieve or even fall back and fail to realize what you initially wanted to achieve, because it can either go left or south. And I always tell you, if you have already made a million, probably this is a conversation that you do not want to listen to. But if you are on your way of making your first million, then definitely you have to like, subscribe and comment so that you can always come back for more enriching conversations. I'll give the opportunity to my guest this evening, to introduce himself and give us a little bit about background about himself, because he oozes this type of this wisdom. And I am able to tell from the onset how long conversations are going to take when somebody says the first few words. And I think this might be a 3-hour conversation, but I will try my level best so that we do not prolong it. And if it will need to be long, then there is always another opportunity to come back and extend the conversation. Without further ado, kindly introduce yourself.
Thank you. My name is David Mulo.
Yes.
I run a sport for development organization called Green Kenya.
Yes.
So Green Kenya is a sport for development organization, and it started in 2014, around September 23rd.
Yes.
So we just celebrated our 9th year, almost a decade, last month.
Yeah.
Yep. That's about me. I like playing football.
Yes.
What I do revolves around sport and sport for development. I am a leader.
Yeah.
Okay. I am a vision carrier, and I know that my generation will learn something from me, and there's something that I'm doing that will impact not only my generation but the generation to come.
Yeah. Quite a befitting introduction. I am inclined to ask you, before you even paint a picture for us where you grew up at, why development?
Yep, because everything revolves around development, and it depends on how you define development. Because from a young age, you have to develop a child.
Yeah.
And that goes to your dream also. You have to develop yourself. You have to develop capacity to be able to handle what you're doing. So development is cuts across.
Yeah.
You cannot, like for example, you cannot have just children playing without developing their minds.
Yeah.
Developing their capability to do other things apart from just running. So development is key. Development cuts across, whether you are young or old.
Yeah. And why marry it with sport? Because you would have done it with advocacy, or you would have used another thematic area. Why particularly sport?
Yeah, because I played football. I played competitive football.
You're the one. You're the type who said one day I will play for Arsenal, Manchester United.
Oh yeah. I used to have those dreams. I used to train so hard. That one day I will play in the
EPL.
But one of my biggest vision was to play college football or university football in the States, because I have friends
who made it.
And one just left when we were playing. So I know the process.
Yeah.
And what happened?
It sort of seemed so possible.
It is possible.
Yeah.
It is possible for them that believes.
Yeah.
So I applied to play college football, and what happened is that my papers reached a week later. So even up to date, they send me the alumni newsletter saying that I need to join some calls. I felt, hurt when I received this alumni whatever.
Yeah, newsletters and information packs.
But later I said, there's something here. I wanted to unsubscribe because why are they sending it to me and I missed. But I said, if I did not make it, then the people are coming after me.
They must make it.
They will. So we have a program that is working along those lines.
Yeah.
And one day we'll come back and sit. Maybe here or maybe a
bigger
part of
studio.
the continent.
Yeah.
But we will. I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is the beauty of resolving. And once you resolve, then definitely a way is found.
Sure.
Give us, paint a picture for us back home. did it ever seem like this was the journey that you're going to take, or are there any signs that showed where Moses was like, Lord, show me the signs? Yeah. Were there any signs growing up?
Well, to be honest, no. No. My father didn't want me to play football.
As every other African
He will,
father.
he will come and on Fridays,
Yes.
he will come to the pitch and hide from
The grasses
yes,
or the thatches.
behind the tree and just, watch me. There were no phones at that time. Like there were phones, but my dad didn't have a phone.
Yeah.
So later in the evening, he would ask me, "Where were you?" And I
Then
would
you
say,
lied to him.
I was just doing physical education with our PE with our friends. And then later he'll say, "Okay, can I see your shoes?" And it will be torn. I'm like, "Okay, I bought these shoes like a month ago." So my dad didn't want me to play football.
Yeah.
But every time I went to the pitch, I felt something different.
Yeah.
I felt like I was in my zone and I was in my proclivity. And that's how I ended up, loving football.
Yeah.
And in high school, I remember my dad couldn't pay school fees. Okay. And so there was this teacher called Mr. Abuya.
Yeah.
I hope you will watch
There,
this one day.
there will always a teacher in the story.
Yeah. So he said, he knew that I was always being sent home, and I was the captain. So it came to this day, like we were going for a match, and he asked, "Where is David?" And my colleague said, "David had been sent home." So that was at 11. So he sent someone to come and bring me. So I dressed in the afternoon. I went and ate lunch in school, and then went and played football, and we won that match. Okay, and then he said, "Okay, David, I will talk to the head teacher. You will come to school, but we will agree on something." So he didn't tell me what we're going to agree on.
Yeah.
So when we went to school, he said, "Okay, David, I've talked to the head teacher. So your work will be to clean this classrooms in the evening.
Yeah.
And then instead of bringing someone else and we pay them, you will do this work and then we deduct this from your school fees." I said, "Yes."
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. So every day in the evening, I will come with another pair of clothes.
Yeah.
Change because we used to have a white shirt. Put it on the side and clean all those classes, man.
Yeah.
That's how I ended up finishing my high school.
Yeah.
And that's how things started happening. So I stayed home for another 1 year before going to
Uni. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, there was this lady. She's called Eileen.
Yes.
So I was volunteering with another organization back then. It's called Vijana Mani Pamoja.
Yeah.
And there was no one to take her around. So she said, "Will you be..." The current director of the organization said, "Would you do the honors? Just take her around,
Yeah.
see what you're doing." I said, "Fine," because there was nothing I was doing.
Yeah.
So that's how we started the journey. So I took her around for about a month or two. And then when she was leaving, she said, "Okay, what can I do for you?" And when I finished high school, I went to two colleges. The one that was cheap and one that was expensive. So I said, "Okay, let me just have these things, these applications.
Yes.
Whichever will come."
Well and good.
So I kept them in the house. I took these forms around February. I stayed with them for around, now it was about 8-9 months. So when she was leaving, she said, "What can I do for you?" I said, "What do you want to do for me?" That had never crossed my mind.
Yeah.
So I said, "I want to go to school." And said, "Where do you want to go to school?" Wow. Where do I want to go to school? My eyes were dilated. I was like,
Yeah.
wow. I said, "Okay." I brought her these two options. I said, "This is where I want to go, but
we can't afford it."
Yeah, I can't afford. I couldn't afford both. So I said, "This is where I would like to go, but if this one works, fine."
Yeah.
And she took this one, and she looked at it, and she went with it. By that time, I was just introducing myself into emails and everything. So she communicated with the office the way I was volunteering before.
Yeah.
And she said, "I will pay for your college." Wow. I cried because I knew that I'm not going to go to uni or to college because my dad could not afford it. My dad could not pay for high school. How could
dare he?
So I went to school for 4 years. That was a dream come true. And I said, if I'm going to go to school, then I'm going to dig, if that is the right word to use, these books until I get what I want. That's how I went to school. That's how the picture,
Started
sports,
to manifest
and,
itself.
and what I'm doing
Yeah.
came into being. So even to date, we have a photo of her in our office, and just looking at it and say thank you. It is now almost 10, 12 years.
Yeah.
But that photo reminds me of the first day. So that's how the picture started being painted and being, crystallized.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I will end up doing, what I'm doing today.
Yeah.
So yeah, I played football for some time, and I've seen what football can do in someone's life.
Yeah.
I had the opportunity to travel through Sport for Development. I've worked with children in different parts of Africa and in other countries in Europe, and that's the picture that I want to paint here.
Yeah. Interesting. Let me take you back to the conversation where Mwalimu, I've not caught his name properly, when he asks for you and he sort of brokers, let us call it brokering a deal with the heritage of the institution, and he tells you you're going to clean for you to buy your stay in school. I believe the only prudent thing that a child could do is go tell their parent. How did dad receive that? And seeing a young you taking responsibility for yourself, what kind of weight did it put on your dad? And did it have any effect on the kind of relationship that you had with your father?
Well, when I told him about all this, first of all, he didn't say anything for some time. And then he said, okay, do you want to do it? He asked me, do you want to do it? And I said, I want to do it. I want to go. I want to go. People laughed at me. The ladies in school, they were like, oh, he's the one who normally washes our class, so they will drop papers. But I told them, I say, I want to do this. And I said, okay, if you want to do it, go and do it with one heart, one mind. Okay? Oh, of course, there were times when I felt like I don't want to do it.
Absolutely.
I felt like, okay, if my dad couldn't pay university, my high school, what am I doing here? But later I said, okay, this is me. What if my dad is not there? What will happen? So we had that conversation, and he said, okay, go do it. And what I remember is he prayed for me. And that's how I went. I never looked back. So I would even go there when it's raining. I stopped going for football on Saturdays because I had to go and wash.
Yeah.
So I would train sometimes on Saturday, maybe in the morning. And so at times we will have classes in the morning, and then I watch the classes in the afternoon. So I didn't have much time in the afternoon. So I will maybe when people have gone to their homes, like my fellow students, I will remain there reading and just getting to know school better. I will be like the watchman, roaming around the school. In the classrooms, you have to put the tables on top, the chairs on top of the table.
Yeah.
That's what I used to do. So I'll tell them, hey, can you help me put those seats on top of the table? They knew me. Oh, the cleaner is here. So we talked about this, and we agreed on something. He said, don't let me down.
Yeah.
And that's how I never looked back.
Along the journey, it has been a journey that many people have come through for you. One, it was the teacher in high school. Second, now it was the long friend that you've had, who said that I am going to provide an opportunity for you to go to college. There is this book that I read by Napoleon Hill, and there is a principle that he says that always do more than what you're paid to do. When you're doing all these things, did you have any expectations that this might pay off, something good might come out of this? Did you have that assurance? And if you did not have this assurance, then why continue into that line?
What I was not aware of is that I was being trained for what is coming ahead. So I had no any other option but to do more. Okay? I had to wake up very early in the morning. Okay? Sometimes I will not even eat breakfast.
Yeah.
Be in class on time. Okay? And then make sure that children don't litter. So they don't
So much.
So that I
you don't have to do a lot of work. Yeah.
And so I did not know that I was being prepared for what I'm doing right now. I ended up doing so much, man.
Yeah.
Okay, because I used to carry my bag. The only day I would rest was on Sunday. So from Monday to Saturday, 6 or 7 p.m., I was on the road.
On the move.
On the move. I ended up having, heavy chests, and I had a bag that was like, it was showing some line here because I was sweating and the books were heavy. So it was preparing me for something ahead. And I was doing more. And that thing is now helping me because after high school, after college, I started to volunteer with the organization that took me to school through that lady, and they gave me a lot of work because they thought that, okay, this guy is responsible.
He has the capacity.
And I didn't feel like it was something because I grew up in hardship. You had to work for food. If you don't work, you don't eat. And that was the principle at home. This boy did not wash utensils, no food.
No food.
And you will not eat. So you had to work literally for food. Okay, and I did not know that will translate into who and what I'm doing today. Okay, so the principle of doing more was installed in me by force.
Then how do you pick these principles? Because you've rightly said that you are not aware. Then how do you start cultivating these principles and say, I am going to keep this along the journey? Because one of the key things, even in this journey of dreaming, we never understand that everything that we go through is not by coincidence. If we are keen enough, there are things or telltale signs that we could pick. But if you're not keen enough, you will miss out on everything. In your case, how were you able to pick up these behaviors and these tools?
So after my college, I was like, okay, there's something in me that I need to do. I need to bring out, because by the time I was finishing college, I was so good in football. Okay, we used to play the league match, and I would have friends saying, "Oh, you played well," and I did not know them. Okay, so I said, because where I grew up, many of my friends ended up using drugs. Some of them were killed. Some of them did not make it, and sometimes when I go back, I don't live there anymore because that was one of the vision that I achieved. And we're going to talk about it along the way. So I said, there's something in me. There's something that, is boiling whenever I go to the field.
Something big about me.
And so I wanted to use that opportunity of, playing football and, bringing the message of hope and encouragement and showing other people that if I made it, you can
make it.
And so I said, okay, what am I going to do? So I sat down with a friend of mine called Charles Oti. He's my good friend. So I asked him, Charles, I have an idea here. What do you think I can do? And I explained it to him, and he said, why don't we call it Green Kenya? Oh, and I did not even think twice. So I started putting money together, and I used to collect garbage back then. And I started putting money together. So I would wake up at 4 a.m., go do garbage, and then, bring some food at home because my dad was retrenched by that time, so he was not working. And so I was the one feeding him. So if I didn't go to work, we didn't have food. Okay? So I said, I want to help young people to play football, but also understand that their lives matter and they don't have to go into drugs and lose their vision while they're still young. And when I went to the social development officer, I said what I wanted to do, and I had written some things. He looked at it and said, you need some money to register this. Do you have a lawyer?
You're hearing the word lawyer for the
first time. Why is it that it has to be so hard, man? Why do you have to sweat all the time? And so I said, okay. He gave me a form that had all the requirements. I remember registering the organization was community self-help was 5,000. That was one of the hardest things that I could imagine.
That was a lot of money.
I saved for 2 years.
5,000 Kenyan shillings.
Yes. And I sat down with the OT and I said, do you know anybody who can help us do this? We didn't have nobody. So we'll ask people just to, help us put the documents together. We registered the program. The certificate took like a week.
Then it took you 2 years to generate the money.
Oh, yeah. So when I got the certificate, it was not a bigger thing
Yeah.
What I wanted to do in school, the vision.
Yeah.
So I remember when we went to the first school, it was in Shaurimoyo,
Yeah.
and the head teacher said, I said my name, and I was having one ball with a shot, and he asked me, David, what do you want to do? And I said, I have an idea here that I can play with children and help them, learn football, but also, develop the skills in different areas. He said, okay, David, I will give you 30 minutes. If you waste my time, you'll never come back here again. I said, fine. 30 minutes? That's all I wanted.
That's most of the time that I need.
That's all I wanted. So we started. It was on Fridays. It went on well. Next Friday, a month. And then something happened. I was given the whole school after a month. One person, one ball. Hey, the coach is here. I was like,
the excitement.
I didn't want all of them. I just want a couple of them. And then,
Yes.
but I didn't know that this teacher was training me. And then I started talking to people about my vision. I was not afraid to talk about myself because of what I've seen back then.
Yeah.
I didn't care anything. I mean, I was like,
What's the worst that could happen?
Yes. The only thing they could tell me was no. And I had so many no's, I didn't take it personal. I said, okay, let's go. So I started talking to people, and then people will give me used cones, balls, and then I will take them to my house, carry them in a black paper bag, like this, go home. And then, remember, I was still, volunteering in that organization. So some of the ideas I got there, and then I did personal development. And I used to read a lot by myself in books. So that's how the vision started. And then what happened is that after giving me the whole school, I had to come up with a plan. I couldn't pay nobody. I was one person with about 80, 100 children. So what I did, I said, can physical education teachers help me to arrange the children? I will, demarcate the field with stones and their sweaters and their shoes. And that's how we started playing. And then the vision grew. And then I was like, okay, it's becoming bigger. I got scared because I did not think that it will amount to what it is at that level, at that time.
Yeah.
And then I ended up doing a lot again. What I was doing back then.
Yeah.
Okay, I had to plan, on Fridays. So my whole day was like Fridays, I was not available. And that's the vision grew. And then talking to people, I was so daring, and I think I'm still daring. Okay, so some people laugh at me, say it will never work.
Yeah.
Who
the hell do you think you are?
Yeah, that is. Who the hell do you think you are? Your dad we know your father, and we know where you came from. But I didn't look at that.
Yeah.
And then it so happened that after 3 years, we got a support.
The very first support.
The first support from an organization called the Population Project. That was the first. It was $1,000.
From raising 5,000 Kenyan shillings in 2 years to $1,000.
That was like 100
Kenyan
shillings.
Yeah.
I was scared, to be honest.
What am I going to do with all this money?
Because here I am. I don't know how to even calculate and go buy these equipments. I didn't have enough here. I felt like I didn't have enough information, enough support in terms of people around me, in support from people who believed in me. My dad just said, okay, go son. That's what he used to tell me, go. And there was something that was pushing me that I did not know what it is.
Yeah.
I couldn't explain. All I had was a passion to go do it because I saw how my friends were some of them died and what they went through.
Yeah.
And some people dropped out of school, and I said, this is not to be part of my life. I promised myself.
This is not the script that I'm going to replay
And
with.
what I did is that I had a vision board. I started developing my vision board
Way early.
Way early. I just read about the vision board, and I said, let me write this down. So that's how I started doing my vision board. So the first thing that I said was my house will never be in the informal settlement.
Yeah.
And do you know what? The first house that I got was more, or like it was expensive than what I would get in a month. So you know what I did? I would pay everything and stay like that. I was so happy staying there but I had
Not
nothing
in
to
the
do.
informal settlement.
Yeah, I was sleeping on the floor on the carton, okay, with something like this on my head. And I remember I used to have a Nokia phone, which had like a blue face and white. It was a small phone.
Yeah.
It had 3 songs. I would play those songs
On
until the battery
repeat.
would go off. Okay,
Just to keep you company.
And I told you about growing in the dark. I didn't know that I was growing in the dark. I was in this, I call it isolative,
Yeah.
incubative situation where I was growing in the dark without knowing, developing my capabilities, my tenacity.
Building a proper core for yourself.
Yeah, so let me bring you back to, getting this support. We bought some equipment. And I remember when I went to the school with this equipment, children laughed, they clapped.
Everybody
and were
was
so
happy.
because they had missed these things. And then I said, okay, I'm alone here. Who is going to work with me? And then I was talking to my friends, telling them, hey, would you come? I have nothing to pay you, but there's something here that we can
This
work
is the vision. This is where we're going.
yeah. I will show them the vision board. This is where we are going, okay? This is what I want us to do together. So one agreed. So we were 2. We will go plan. I remember, let me just tell you this. I remember I started knowing something to do with the internet. And the first laptop that I bought was a second-hand laptop that was opening up like an iPad. The hinges were not there. I bought it at 5,000 shillings. The hinges were not there. The battery was so old that if the power would go off,
It would
everything
work.
will get lost.
Basically, it was a desktop.
And then I would go to because I didn't have enough money to go to the internet and use the internet. So I will go to another organization there in Majengo, and I will talk to the watchman and say, let me just sit here in this cubicle. Let me use the internet. Go ask them about the password. And that's how I started working. So I would leave there at around 12 midnight. So it so happened that one day there was this accountant who used to leave the office
A
late.
little bit late.
So one day he saw me there for about 2-3 weeks. So he asked the guard, who is this boy? And the guard said, he just used the internet. Oh, the following day they changed the password. Oh my God. So when I came there, I used to come there around 6:37 so that people won't see me.
Yeah.
And then I was told, oh, walibadilisha password.
Badilisha password.
I said,
Watu
okay.
wa Rombai.
I went there for 3 days and I said, okay. I said, okay, I need to find money to go to cyber now. So I'll get 20-30 shillings and make sure that I do so much before 30 shillings end.
Yeah.
And then I will go back home.
Go home.
But that's a story for another day. So that's how
You've reminded me something. In one of my initiatives that I do, Black Alpinism, I remember the very first time I had a serious meeting with a prospective person who wanted to fund some of the activities that we do. They took us to you see where Kenya Cinema is at?
Yeah.
Adjacently there is a Java. I think that was my first experience with Java. And we went in and she asked for the Wi-Fi. I think at that time Java used to offer free Wi-Fi to everybody who went into their premises. And of course, when you go there, you get to keep the password. They don't change it. And this was so interesting to me because by that time I was still in college. This is 2018. And anytime I wanted to send anything, I had to walk to that Java, sit by the roadside, have my phone look proportionately directly to the doors of Java because I could not have money to go back to Java, but I could sit next to it so that I could send email. So while you share that story, I can totally
wow.
I can totally relate with it. And I remember I was with a guy called Mark Titus. So there is always people in our lives that we walk with. Yeah.
Sure.
Interesting.
Sure. There are always people. And the reason why I like this conversation is because we can go back and talk about something. When we talk about people, the lady was called Eileen Hansen.
Yes.
She's the one who paid for my college. And then she helped us to do online fundraising.
Yes.
Up to date. How do you explain that? More than 10 years.
Down the line. seeing a possibility and keeping true to it.
How do you explain that? So that's why I'm saying there is something for everyone. The way I think now and believe is that we don't have to scramble for everything, man. There's something that is cut to the uniqueness of who you are. It comes with your name tag.
And you only have to place yourself strategically for you to be able to receive it.
Yes, and placing yourself strategically means that you have to build capacity. Don't just say, oh, I wish. It will never happen.
Stop wishing.
Yes.
Do something about it.
Do you know that you're given what you can do according to your capability? What I'm doing right now is cut to the uniqueness of who I am. This is what I believe. And there are so many people doing sport for development in Africa, but when I show up,
the man has showed up.
oh, I'm gonna deliver. see, it's not about the money first.
Yes.
Money will come, but it's about who you are.
Yeah.
Because if you show who you truly are, they will pay you to do it, to become who you are supposed to be. But if you want to be like anybody else, you don't have the opportunity to stand out.
Yeah.
You fit in. You lose the momentum along the way. Okay? If I knew that I'm going to be who I am today,
You would not
I
have
would
started.
done, I would have done twice, but also I would have said, God, I don't want to go that direction because it is painful.
I see.
And you're going to be alone.
Yeah, the journey is quite lonely.
And people are going to laugh at you. I remember when I was starting to do what I'm doing, people laughed at me. Some of my friends.
The
said,
closest friends.
Yeah, it will never work. I went to the cell because of this vision. Okay? I've slept hungry. I started a sport for development organization that was raising nothing, and my dad was not working. I was trained as a journalist. My profession is in communication. Some people say, why don't you go and set up, have a business? I mean, do work with the mainstream media.
Yeah.
Your dad is there and is not working. And I will sit even by myself in that carton, in that one, a 10 by 10 room, and I will say, David,
Are you mad?
am I serious
you
really with my
okay?
life?
Yeah.
I ask myself this question so many times and they will wake me up. Sometimes I'll not even sleep. I'll wake up at 4 a.m. and say I'm going. And I didn't know where I'm going.
As you're speaking, the three particular questions that I would ask, and I'm going to be honest. Probably I'm not asking for the audience. I am asking for my selfish interests. Question number one: when nobody else sees it for you, and particularly family, because I remember when I was living home back in 2016. This is in Migori. I told my mom, I'm going to be on TV. I remember she asked me, in this entire family, who have you ever heard that she was on TV? Yeah. You've never stepped a single day in college. You see the kind of situation that we are in. How are you going to go to college for you to be on TV? Or you think in TV they hire quacks? Yeah. And I ask you this question because as you're sharing, there are people around you who believed you could not do it. But either way, you went ahead and did it. I have my own way how I handled it. Probably it might not be compatible to the viewer. But how were you able to sort of have those demons quell down? Because these are the people that you know. Yeah, if people you know are talking you out of what you think you can be able to do. And this is the problems or the challenges that even entrepreneurs who might be listening to us are going through right now. Somebody wants to start a dream, or somebody wants to start off of their dream, but people closest to them, they are telling them, you cannot do it. Who else has done it before? Who the hell do you think you are? How do you deal with those voices, yet they are the closest to you?
Wow, you're reminding me about so many years. It's not like 15, but it's about 8-9 years.
Yes.
Because before your true self comes out, people have a version of who you are. And so whatever they're saying is their version of who you are to them, not who you truly are. And if you take that as a gospel truth, you lose track. I like saying this, and I think I told you this when you were starting, that there was a truth before the fact came in. And I had to learn the hard way about this. This might not sound very well to other people,
Yes,
but I've read the Bible from cover to cover just to find this truth. I'm a believer. I believe in God.
Yeah.
And I said, because they told me, they told me I was not so good in football. They told me I could not amount to anything in school.
Yes.
Your dad couldn't pay your high
school
school
fees.
and then college. I mean, you can't do it.
Yeah.
Okay? We are seeing your father struggling here. And I just decided one day. It took me some time before I could build the momentum. And I said, God, if it works, glory to you. If it doesn't, so be it. I would have tried my best. And I said, whatever they're going to tell me will be the fuel that I'm going to use to propel myself to the next level. And I use it literally.
Every day.
Every day. So I would go to train and they say, oh, you can't even make it to the first 11. And I will train harder. I will come 30 minutes, 1 hour early with a coach. They will tell you. I used to play football with Zwani.
The urge of proving them wrong.
I did not really want to prove them wrong. I wanted to prove myself. I wanted to prove it to myself. Because listen, if you want to prove yourself to other people, you'll run out of steam. Because this person will leave and then someone comes in. But if you prove it to yourself, constant race. Yes, if you prove it to yourself, you're going to be better. And then, that's when I started reading more. Apart from just what I was doing in school. I read 1 book a month. I started reading 1 book a month a long time ago. I started reading 2 books a month. First, it was 1 book a year. Then I reduced that. Now I do 1 book.
One book 2 weeks. So 2 years or 3 years.
Do you know that an average man or woman read 1 book a year and they think they've done so much? If you read, this is what I found out a long time ago. If you read 1 book a month in the line of what you want to do, in 5 years you'll be among the 1% people that the people are going to call to talk about that subject. And I said, this is what I'm going to do. So I read 1 book a month in the line of sport for development and leadership and self-development. Okay? So I decided to develop my capacity. So while they were laughing, I was reading. While they're going to have fun and stay out late at night, I was reading. I wanted to sleep so that I can have energy to wake up very early in the morning. Okay? And that's what I did. I said, no outing for me, no alcohol for me, no drugs, no misbehaving around. And I kept that faith. Oh, and it was difficult, man. I remember we used to share a house with other people, about 5 boys, and they will come at 2 or 3 a.m. and knock the door. It was it was iron sheet door.
A makeshift.
Yeah, makeshift door. That if they kick it so hard, it will fall from the back.
Yeah.
And they will come smoking weed and cigarette, and they're coming at 2 a.m. and I'm waking up at 4. So sometimes I'll just sit outside the door. I'll cry. And I said, this has to change. This has to change. And it changed. It changed.
Because you made that resolve.
Oh, yeah. So you have to decide. Do you really want it, man? And how bad you want it will be shown by how much you put into it. See, you don't need money in the first place. You need to know who you are. What you need in the beginning is the revelation of who you are. And then once you know who you are, other things are going to follow. That's what I am today. And then just before you speak, some people think they know me. They've not yet known what is coming.
I like what you said, that people think they know you.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yet they haven't gotten a tour of what is in the brain. As you've spoken so vividly about dealing with the naysayers and probably those who are closest to you, there is something else that you've said, still on the selfish part, and which I also sort of suffered or went through, and sometimes I still go through it, through this journey. It is, you go to sleep and you've told yourself, I am not going to wake up tomorrow doing the same thing. Because sometimes you are equally tired. But when you wake up the following morning and your feet touch the ground, for some weird reason, you would start from where you left yesterday. And you would ask yourself, if not me, then who?
That is the question. You just reminded me something. You know, like I told you, I used to collect garbage. And one day I remember vividly, it was raining, it was in August. And I was standing in a heap of garbage, and there was a river down there. It was so high, about 15 meters high. And the river was down there, and I asked myself, David, is this what I want to do for the rest of my life? And if not, what do I have to do? That pushed me to read. That pushed me to find answers. That pushed me to read, like I told you, read the Bible from cover to cover. And then I started seeing the revelation of who I am. I started loving myself more. I started enjoying the challenges that I was going through. And I said, this is going to come to an end. Mm-hmm. But, if I would have, not, stood out and did what I did, I could have not been here. Because I could have not had the audacity to speak there I'm speaking today. I speak with a lot of passion and
bravado, if
tenacity,
I would say.
because it is possible. There's someone there who's going to watch this and say, maybe it is not in the way you went through it, it's not the way I'm going through it. But what I know is that when it comes to tiredness and getting beaten up, it's the same. Whether you're a man or woman. And once you get out of that,
the best version of
nothing can stop you.
What does it take to polish a dream?
Well, good. So, for you to polish your dream, what I will say is, first of all, know who you are. Because there are so many copycats outside here. And for you to know, if you truly know, revealed who you are, people are going to use your script to make theirs. There's so many people who've used mine. Okay? So, for you to polish your dream, first of all, you need to know who you are. Because there is the vision and the vision bearer.
Yeah.
Okay?
Those are two different things.
And the vision is more important at some point than the vision bearer. Because you and I are going to be extinct one day, but the vision will still be there. Okay? So, do you want to be a copycat and copy something from somebody else? You will be the second best. So, for you to polish your vision, first of all, know who you are. And then number two, have a clear purpose and vision of where you want to go. Without the money first. And then number three, will people be happy to see what I've done? If you're not happy about what you're doing, leave alone other people. You first. Okay? And then the other thing is have the single-mindedness of who you are. We want to ask questions about so many things about ourselves, but we've never asked the question to ourselves, like, David, what do you truly, really want on this earth?
The Jordan Peterson way. Sit down one day in your bed and ask yourself, what am I doing to fuck up my life?
Yes, because you'll also find that who we are today is a result of some of the things that we picked back then, and they're going to follow you.
And the ideas that we've had before.
Like, for example, I see sometimes you find someone so aggressive and, it's something that you picked back then. And so I had to unlearn some behaviors and learn others. Okay? Reading culture was not in our family. As a boy living in the informal settlement, what time will you read?
When neighbor X is making noise and neighbor B and neighbor C is crying.
These are the kind of places when something is wrong, the police will come and not even ask questions. Just kick, and let me tell you, they will they should not find you like 2 or 3 boys in that house, because you're gonna feel it. I said, this has to stop. I have a right. This has to stop. So for you to polish your dream, first of all, you have to know who you are before your dream is born. Because as you move along, you'll find that there is a dream that is cut to the uniqueness of who you are, and then there is a corporate vision or dream that you cannot fulfill it without other people helping you. So like now, there's some things that I can do by myself that I don't need so much help. But there is a part, which is now Green Kenya, that I need help. I cannot do everything
alone.
When I was coming here, I told my friend that now I don't even know sometimes what is being posted on social media. But once we've talked, okay, they know what to post. But initially, I used to do everything.
Before you need to do everything so that you learn it.
Brings me to the idea or the question that you ask, like, how comes, you develop the idea of doing so much. Okay. Back then, I used to, like I told you, my profession is the communication. So I used to do the newsletter. I took the pictures. I wrote the report, talked to the school, okay, and come back and wash my house, cook for myself, and do all these things. By the time you're finishing, you're tired, and like you said, once you step down like this the following day, you wanna go again. You wanna go because you don't have any other option. As you polish your vision and your dream, you're gonna receive many uppercuts. You're going to be hit in places that you never thought they're going to be hit. People are gonna, your friends, some of them are gonna turn against you. Oh, be ready. Be ready. But once the vision is clear, whatever happens on the side is nothing. But if the plan and the vision is not as clear, then you might fall along the way.
Thus far in this conversation, we've talked about people who we meet along the way, or people who we get to start with. And if anything is true, you might not still be with the same people that you started Green Kenya with. How was that experience dealing with that? And also, what lessons did you take away? Because I ask you this question because so many people who start dreams, they start with friends, they start with spouses, they start with college mates. Yeah, like my case, we started with friends in college. But along the way, they lose the interest. But for some reason, because it's us, it's personal to us, we go on with it. But there are some lessons within that space, which is some that you've learned. And
wow, I like this question. So when you're starting, you will start with your friends, but when the vision grows, you'll need professionals. So we might not agree, but you're so good in your area, we have to work together. It turns out to be that as you grow, you find that what you used to like is not what you like right now. So it was painful for me to let go of some people whom I thought will grow up with and will be where we are today. But it was not the case, because like you said, the interest is not your interest, and some of them might be there because of fame. And when that fame seems like it's going down,
yeah, or it does not come too early or too soon as they expected.
So let me tell you, I felt pain to an extent that I would go back and ask them, why don't you just come? I ended up begging them to come back because they used to do so well that they used to help me, and I was like, okay, I'm resting a bit, I can go do other things. That was the worst mistake. When someone wants to go, let them go. Because if you keep them there, the vision might go down. You know why? Because they'll just be there because you've gone and begged them to be there, but they're not at par with the vision. Do you know that when you're developing the vision, you have to do so much that sometimes you even overwork yourself, and someone else is not feeling the way you're feeling, and so your priority is the second priority. You tell someone, let's meet at 8, they come at 9, and they don't even have a good explanation. And when you don't have something to give them, you'll end up doing everything. One thing I've learned in the process is that even if you think you are the CEO or the leader or whatever, as you develop your vision, you'll end up doing some of the things that are not in your job description.
But if you are the CEO, there is a mentor that I have, and he told me that, Alan, you should be proud that you are a founder of a CEO. And I asked him why. Because you are one of the fewest people in this world that do not have a job description. Because you have to do everything.
Very good. And then that will help you along the way. Okay? Now, okay, I have an idea of what's happening in the media. I have an idea of what is happening in the social media. I have an idea of what is happening in the report, programs, when you're bringing new partners to work with. But if I did not do that back then, I would have not have an idea of all these things.
Yeah.
So once leadership exposes who you are, don't be so happy as a leader. You know why? Because it will expose some of your weaknesses
that you have as a person.
Yeah. As a leader, you have to know that you have to come to terms and say, I'm not so good in this area, but I'm good in this area. If you want someone to perform in this area B, call me. But here, I'm not.
I will give it away.
But when you're starting, you have to do everything because you want to survive. Okay, it's like you're carrying a baby and you don't have food to give them, and you will do anything to make sure that the baby survives. Okay, because if you lose the baby, you live and never forgive yourself. It's like the vision when it's still young, it's still on your bosom, it's still young, and you have to feed it with everything that you have. And sometimes the people that you work with don't even feel it.
They do not feel it, and they do not
They
look at
can
it in
let
that
go
perspective.
of it anytime.
Yeah.
I realized something along the way that once, if you do something by yourself, it will go maybe 100%. But when you start bringing in 1, 2, 3, 10 people,
Yeah.
oh, it will never look the way
You initially
you
envisioned it.
envision it. You know why? Because someone come with their thoughts. They will not talk to clients or partners or parents the way you like to talk to them. Someone can call me anytime. I don't have, even up to date, you can call me anytime. And if I have time, we will talk. I don't have like working hours. I don't have that. I lost it long time ago. Maybe it might happen sometime, but now I can do anything.
At any given time.
Oh, yeah.
You've reminded me something that I was watching from Patrick Bet-David, and he says that he was trying to close a deal, and he had three options that he could close this deal with, or three people that he could close this deal with, and the first person, who was his top priority when he called him, this person told them, "I am going to set up a meeting with my secretary." And Patrick said, "I'm not going to close with you." And the second person who was on the list, he called him and he said, "Give me 5 minutes and I'm going to call you back." Patrick said, "No, deal is off the table." And the third person he called him and he said, "I am in the middle of something, but this is what we're going to do. Even as I'm in the middle of this thing, it is important that you've called. Let's continue with this conversation. And if we do not get everything right now, we can always have a second conversation to iron out everything that we might not have gotten in the first conversation." And Patrick Bet-David went ahead and closed that deal with that particular person. And I think what you say is very important, because you don't know when opportunity is going to knock. And you don't know when you're going to have a crisis to solve that can either make or break your organization. So it is very important to be on standby whenever you are able to be so.
True. And just before something else, see, what will tell people that you've honed the techniques is when you appear without any written document and still deliver. See, education is what you're left with after the teacher's gone. Okay? I want to know what you can do without those papers and everything. That's because nowadays I don't look at the CV when I want to hire someone. People can buy CV, people can buy papers.
Yeah.
You know what I tell you? Please record yourself for 3 minutes and tell me about yourself. Send me a video of yourself for 2 minutes. Who you are, what you've done in school, what you can do, and what is that thing that when you come, we will get.
Yeah.
You'll see the true picture. But if I bring you papers, I can go there and bring them.
Yeah. And I will also ask ChatGPT to help me write them.
Oh yeah.
Green Kenya, how far has it come? And you have hinted about exactly what Green Kenya is all about, but extensively. Tell us a little bit more about Green Kenya.
Good. So just before I tell you that, initially I was afraid to talk about this, to talk about what I wanted to do, because I was like, what if it doesn't work? I was so scared to tell people about this, but now I will tell you. I will tell you. So
Gladly.
Oh yeah. So Green Kid is a sport for development organization. We teach through play.
Yes.
We address 7 out of 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, and one of them is climate action.
Yes.
So we've come a long way. We have programs that are running in schools and in the community centers. We have different programs. We've categorized them into 5 main programs right now. Some of the photos that I share with you, those are 5 different programs. So we have community impact program. We have a Women Up, that is women empowerment program, environmental literacy, consultancy, where we work with organizations and youth leaders to do what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
We coach them and we train them on how to do this. And then the last one is the Football Academy program.
Yes.
Okay. So these 7 UNSDGs are the ones that are closer to our hearts,
Yes.
and they're affecting our communities on a daily basis. Okay. And we have a team of 15 people right now.
Yes.
So we have main people who come on a regular basis in the office, and other volunteers. Yeah.
From a one-man team to a 15-people team.
And still growing. Hopefully going to be more.
When you look at your team, what would you want them to understand, even without them asking you?
Good. So what I would like them to understand is that everything is possible if you believe. And it's not possible until you do it. Okay? That tenacity pays. Not in terms of money, first of all.
Yeah.
In terms of developing your character. Because now I believe. And one day you're going to hear the story. I believe more than what you're seeing right now. I can do it. see, once you have the belief,
Yeah.
everything else, it is. Let me tell you, if you know the power that you have, I tell you the truth, if you know the power that you have, you can own more than you think you can have. Because the power is in you. We're the only human beings that have the capacity to think and execute. No any other animal
Being on earth
has the capacity to do what we're doing. And then you come and tell me that you come and test my IQ with a 2-hour test, and then that becomes part of my life. No. If you want to be judged by books and the grade that you got in school, it's okay.
Yeah. That's who you've decided to be.
Yeah, that's who you've decided to be. But if you say, okay, I will come into this class and I will improve myself with your equipment and with your books, and I will come out here as one of the sharpest mind that you've ever had, so be it. It will be seen even in the way you live your life. Okay? And that's what I've decided. That I'm gonna do all I can with my might where I'm placed. And when I show up, they will see the results. That's what I want them to get, because once they get that, they will understand that this is just an opportunity for me to grow. So come early, leave late if you want to. We have infrastructures now in the office that I didn't have. If you can use that, develop yourself, so be it. And you have all the information. You have YouTube. You have people that you can go and ask questions. Use that opportunity, because there's so many people who want to come and help you, but because you've not even asked them the questions and they don't know who you are, they have the resources, but they can't help you because they don't know how to help you. That's what I would like them to get.
David, when you walk through the places that you left, do you ever look down on the people who have not left those places? Not because you are a bad person, but because you feel sorry for them, that they cannot understand or they cannot fathom the ability or the power that they possess. Probably they might not have had the opportunity of the teacher who brokered a deal for you. They might not have had an Eileen who helped you prosper or progress in your education, but definitely they might have come across opportunities that they were not aware of.
I sometimes go back there and I remember silent prayers that I said when I was walking by myself or with my father. So just before I answer that question, I said to my father, long enough. to an extent that, he was starting to lose his eyesight, and I had to go with him to the toilet outside. We used to walk. And I remember one day it was so dark, it was raining heavy. And because of that, there was no lights like it is in normal cases in the informal settlement. And I said silent prayer when I was walking. I was holding the hands of my father, and he was having a stick. And I was the only one who was seeing, and sometimes we will go walk into a ditch, and the water will reach somewhere here. And I said, God, this help me to change this. I remember saying those prayers by myself so many times. And when I go back there, I remember those prayers. And I say, God, you answered the prayers. And I said to myself that I'm not special to be able to get out of this place. Though I told you, God, that I want to get out, and you have to get me out. What I would say is that those people decided to stay there.
They have made these deliberate decisions that this is where it will end for me.
And how they make the decision is the small errors every day. You don't keep time. You don't wake up on time. You don't deliver on what you said. You don't keep your word. Nobody can trust you. And then that end up being who you are. But those people who've tried it as much as I can, and they couldn't. What I always say is that if you still want to get out, you will. It's a choice that you make because, for example, if you decide to use drugs when you're young, that's part of your life. I don't look down upon them. But I'm also honest about some of the things that I said no to way back. Okay? So, I have mixed feelings of how I came out. And I still remember everything. Some of my friends are still there, and when we go there, we talk and everything. I remember when some of them used to tell me that you better vacate in this house because you don't pay anything in the name of going to school. Why are you going to school and there's no work?
Yeah.
They're still there. So I tell them the truth that tumegro pamoja, we know each other very well. And you know what you can do to get out of this place.
But you're choosing not to do it.
And then there comes a point in life when you can't go back. For example, you've decided to raise children there. You've not gone to school. So it's like you've put a barrier between your head. And you know what? John Maxwell says that as a leader, if you are a 3-level kind of a leader, the people that are going to have are going to be a 2, a 1, and 0. So that means that as a father or as a parent, if your level of exposure, because you decided to stay there for long enough, will be blocked by your inferiority complex, by not trying, by saying that, these other people are the ones who are gifted, and I was not gifted. So sometimes I go there to talk to children also. And I tell them my story, especially high schoolers, because that's the time you can lose it. And I'm brutally honest. It pains me, it's painful, but if you want to get out, you will. If the only thing that you want is to breathe and you're underwater, you'll do anything that is possible to get out. Because this is what I promised myself. It's either I'm going to drown here,
yes,
or you're going to find me on the other side of the river.
Of the river.
But I'm going.
Yeah.
With the alligators,
With the hippos.
We will fight. It has to be you have to have the drive to get out.
Most times I pass places where I used to work throughout the journey, and I ask myself the question, a question. Now I ask it to myself as a question. You said you don't think you're special, and I ask myself, am I special in any way that I managed to leave this place, and some of the people that I found here are still in the same position? But when I look keenly, I tell myself I'm not any special. Yeah. And when I ask myself, then what can I do to help them see what is possible for them? And I've tried, even I will say it. There is a stint that I used to wash cars for a living, and I used to tell my friends that we used to wash cars with, who some are still doing it to death, and I used to tell them, hey, anybody who's going to change your life is not going to find you out of this place. Anybody who can change your life is going to find you here. And if you do not, and actually that's where, and that is the time that I was reading, I think it's called the 12 Laws of Power, by Napoleon Hill. And the best thing that stuck with me is do more than what you're always paid to do. And some of the clients that I worked or I washed cars for to satisfaction, they are the people who orchestrated my exit from that place and gave me the opportunity to go into and venture into other spaces. And they did not do much. They just gave me an opportunity from a different industry. And that enough was able to widen my scope. I will share a last one. I am moving houses from where I used to stay. For those who have followed us long enough on the channel, they know the studio used to be in my house. And where I am moving to, the landlord is one of the guys that I used to wash cars for. And while I was paying him for the deposit for the house, he looked at me and he said, never rule out anybody.
Oh, yeah.
Just because you look at them in the situation that they are at that particular moment, never rule them out.
Yeah, let me say something before you move on. Never rule out anybody. And the more you have the knowledge, the more you grow into your vision and your purpose, the more you should reduce your name to one name. I know you're going to ask me why. I know you'd like to be called doctor, engineer, and something else. It's not bad, but listen. And that's why I told you in the beginning that I read this book from cover to cover, the Bible. And I checked all the names, great people. They never called themselves so-and-so. It was just David. But David, you know the story. This man, when they heard David was coming, the soldiers will tremble. They said, Saul killed 1,000, but David killed tens of thousands. But just David. Moses. He was not blah, 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 blah Moses. It was just Moses. But this person talked to God. You know? Joshua. Just one name.
Swallowed by a fish.
The more you become, successful in your area of gifting, the more you need to reduce your name to a name. You know why? Because even the last name is not yours. You're given. Your name is the first name. I'm David. Mulo is my father. Okay? And if you check the lineage of Mulo, you'll find so many Mulos. But David,
there is only a single David.
Is cut to the uniqueness of my gifting. There's only one David who can do what I'm doing, talk the way I'm talking, and be who he is today. Why do you want to be a copycat? So the more you grow, never look down upon people. Because some of these people are going to be the keys that you need to the next dimension. Please go ahead.
And on that point of never ruling out anybody, I tell myself, I will not rule them out. Probably they'll be able to see it one day. Because there are those that we try to pull up, and instead of them leveling up, they break. And you wouldn't want to be the reason as to why somebody lost it. Because every time I pass by those places, I say, I hope one day they'll be able to see it for themselves. And when they see it, I'll be at the doorstep to help them walk the journey.
You know something? Even though you might talk and you feel like you're talking to yourself and they're not listening, one day they will remember the voice. So tell them. Because one day they will say, you knew it and you never told me. Tell them. Tell them the truth. And they'll one day come and say, you helped me. You helped me. See, when I was developing my vision, other people developed their own vision and they started other programs, and they said, if it was not you, this could have not started. They did not even talk to me. They saw my tenacity. They saw how I used to do things, how I used to keep time. Okay, how I would clean the first office that we got, how I used to clean it, and I would go and fetch water far away, go clean it, because it was a youth space where young people would come. In a place like this, maybe 60 or 80 people in a day. They come in as they go and they do other things. I used to clean that place every day, and some of them will come with mud, and I'll still do it because I knew that one day it will change. That tenacity. There are people who are watching you right now, seeing your life, say, "Oh, he did it. Might be possible with me." But what if you didn't share that with them through your deeds, not just talking, through your deeds, and then they meet you? Someone's life will be changed just because you showed up.
Where next for Green Kenya?
Good. So what's next for us?
I talked about 3 hours, and we're slowly approaching the 2 hour mark.
Wow, man. So what's next for Green Kenya? So we've just done some work with the U.S. State Department on environmental justice.
Yes.
Which went so well. I never thought that this was going to happen. Honestly, never knew this was going to happen. So sometimes I ask myself, what am I doing here?
When you go to such meetings,
yes,
and such
when I go to such meetings. So we did a project for the last 12 months on how to teach young ecopreneurs on how to calculate the carbon footprints, how to make the business to be eco-friendly. We've talked about, teaching young people in Wasingishan how they can plant, trees and take care of the environment through play, through a US-based organization, which is our partner at 10 billion strong. We have trained young university graduates and leaders on how to, become leaders, do civic as far as environment is concerned, and talk about linear versus circular economy and our role in this. That's one part. And then the other part is the consultancy part that I told you about, that we're working with our partner called Coaches Across Continent. And I never knew that I'm going to teach other people what I was learning by myself. So I've conducted about 4 trainings with about 30 to 50 coaches per training, that these coaches will go and impact other people.
Trainers of trainers.
Yes, and what we're doing is we're bringing the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals to life through play. Okay, we're talking about child rights and how to teach coaches to be, safe, organization safe, child rights and protecting children who are participating in sports. It's very important.
Yeah.
And if you have time, I can tell you more about that. And then what I did is I saved part of my money to build a seven-aside turf field. Because when I traveled outside the country, I saw this field and there was none in my community where I'm living right now. I said, I'm going to use my money to do this. So I used my savings to do it. Because I know that's just the beginning. So we have a seven-aside turf field that young people can come and play, because I wanted to give them what I did not have. When I was young, I was just seeing those things in TV. Now we have it. It's a second-hand artificial turf, but it's way better. When it rains, we can train.
Yeah.
So we're hopefully going to put lights so that other adults can also play at night, and bring in the UNSDG number 3, number 4, where it talks about the health and wellness. Okay.
Yeah.
You need time to rejuvenate. So that's what we're doing there. And then we've also done some work with the UEFA Foundation for Children.
Yeah.
And we've trained, we've actually developed a curriculum where young people can learn how to reduce their carbon footprint through play. It was piloted in Kenya. We did this work with a partner, Coaches Across Continents, and this was the first toolkit to be produced globally. And we've translated it into 7 languages. So
amazing.
Swahili is one of them.
Yeah.
Chinese, Portuguese, English, Arabic. Okay. And if you go to UEFA Foundation for Children website, you'll be able to find this. Man, I never thought that I'm going to do something like this.
Global impact.
It's a global impact. So that is what we are looking into. The year is coming to an end. Like I told you, I am 6 months into 2024. By the time we're finishing next month, I will be 80-90%, and next year by January 31st, I'll be fully into 2024. So sometimes when you ask someone Happy New Year, they might be wondering, which year are you talking about?
Is it
Because some
2025 or 2026?
Oh yeah. Because one thing I've learned in this game
Yeah.
is that you have to be a planner. We're serving a planner. God is a planner. How comes all these things are suspended up here? It rains at this time. Light and darkness never
Never miss the
yes.
time mark.
And they never mix. So you need to be a planner. You're the only being that can think, plan, and execute. They need to be smart on that. It's not the books that you got in school first, because the books will help you to just write well, think at a certain level, at a certain time. But when it comes to the ingenuity and the creativity, that's natural. What you need is just to have a right environment, and they will sprout. So that's what's next for us. Watch out. You'll see what's next for us.
You asked if I have enough time. Unfortunately, I do not have time to extensively talk about what next for Green Kenya, but we are appreciative that you've been able to give us a glimpse of where next that you are taking your tremendous work. As we are winding up, 3 things that you would want the person who has watched us up until now, that you would want them to take away, what would they be?
Good. So number 1 is know who you are. You're in high school, you're going to the university, or know who you are first of all. Because if you know who you are, you're going to protect what is in you. And that includes a vision that will impact the generation to come, including your children. Okay? And then number 2 is believe in yourself. There's no one who will believe in you more than you do. And some of the people who are not going to believe in you are people that you've exchanged socks with, your family members. Because they don't see it the way you see it.
You've exchanged socks with.
Oh, yes. Okay? So believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Because there's one who believed in you before anybody else believed in you. And then number 3 is build the capacity to where you're going. You have to build the momentum before you fly. I was happy to be in a plane one day, and what I realized is that it has to create a lot of momentum, the thrust, before it goes up. And then once it goes up there, the energy that it used to get up there is different, because now you're flying into another dimension. So build the capacity. Capacity means reading. Don't just read fiction and everything. Read things that will challenge your thinking. The more you read, the more you know. And the more you know, the less mistakes you're going to make. Okay, that's number two. Then
that would be a bonus one.
Yeah. So the bonus one is, what do you truly, really want to achieve here on earth? And will you be happy if someone will one day tell that story? Start today. You have everything that you need. The right weather, perfect environment, people, and who you are. You have all that you need. Start now.
Not unless there is anything that I've forgotten to ask you. But if there isn't, I would like to say that we've had a fruitful engagement and a fruitful conversation.
Thank you so much. You know, the reason why I wanted to come to this interview is because actually what I had planned to talk about, we've not talked about. But it has been so much engaging that I feel like, wow, why don't we continue? But thank you so much for your time, sir.
Yes.
I really appreciate this.
Yeah. I hope you make time again.
We will.
Absolutely.
We'll make time.
Yes.
And watch this space.
Absolutely.
Watch this space.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for watching. That has been a